Monthly Orchestrator Call. This call is meant to really get feedback from the orchestrators, give the orchestrators an overview of what was done in the last month based from an orchestrator perspective. So mainly orchestrator operations, new pipelines, new features, bug fixes. And I will lead the first part of the call, give an update of what was done in the last month. And then Ceiling will take over and give you the roadmap for the next month. And then after that, we have a question and answer section, so a feedback session that's led by N. That's meant for the orchestrator to give feedback both on this call, but also on like the development related to orchestrator. So what features do you want to see in? What features are really pressing? Are there problems that you have with your operations? And we would like to know that so we can improve the Livepeer network. So this call is currently structured like this. So technical updates, like I said. So first, what was done, and then what's upcoming, and then the feedback session. So for the technical update, there's 2 slides. So in the last months, of course, apart from what's stating here, we focused also on real time. So there are a lot of improvements in the real time stuff, and also for gateway improvements. But in this call, we will focus mainly on like the orchestrator improvements that were done last month. So the most important one, I think, is for the transcoding this time. It's an LPMS improvement for reliability. So as you know, in the last months, there was this stream going around, and that would eventually crash Orchestrator. So Josh worked really hard to fix this, and that should be fixed in the new version that was already released, version 0.8.2, if I'm correct. So that's really a big win, I think. In the AI side, so we merged the LLM AP spec updates that were done by the LLM SPE with help of Brett. So currently the Open API spec is compatible with OpenAI. That makes it easier to interface with, and also from the LLM SPE, there is a release upcoming soon. But as you saw, it is already being tested and used by the agent SPE. So we also removed the transcoding flag for the AI orchestrator. So up to this point, you need to have the transcoding flag, that you don't need that anymore. So to remove confusion, we also added a new flag. It's an AI runner image override. It replaces the AI runner image flag. What you can do now, and that's really helpful also for if you want to test out experimental stuff, or you have a problem you want to roll back, for all the pipeline images, you can now use versioning and set the runner images that you want to use in your orchestrator or remote worker. Also, there we added a new gateway host flag that's more meant for the gateways there, so I shouldn't have included here, but it's to connect to external gateway services. It's mainly meant for tracking there. There are a lot of enhancements in logging and metrics behavior. So there were some bugs reported already at the beginning that the login should be improved, for example, for the payment system, so that Loki could pick it up better, so that both the gateways and the orchestrated can parse that better. So that has been done. Other metrics have been added, and also there have been some metric reliability improvements. Performance optimizations mainly were done in the batch in real time, and we have, as you noticed, several new ConfigUI pipelines in the system, and that already have been shown in other calls. For example, the stream diffusion live portrait, a combination with depth anything, SAM2 and Florence 2, and as lately, currently the engineers are working on stable diffusion 1.5 pipeline that will be released shortly. So this is the main overview. If you want to know really the detailed overviews of all the changes that were merged this month, you can go to the Go Livepeer repository or to the AI runner that's also related to it. So we can ask questions about it at the end. So I'll first hand it over to Ceiling. I see that my presentation is frozen. Let's do it with my manual keyboard, physical keyboard. So the upcoming features, I hand it over to you.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, before jumping into upcoming features, I just want to iterate that, Orchestrator community is at the heart of our core development. like just this month, we have a new AI agent SPE passed that are working on, awesome AI um, pipeline demand generation. And all of those are aiming to create more demand for orchestrator services. And next slide. With those advancements, we are seeing a growing need for a similar developer experience to drive our AI demand. So we are basically improving the local workflow development experience to help developers build and publish AI pipeline much easier. Much easier. Our focus is on driving demand for workflow developers who are building AI-powered video applications. Those demand is directly linked to orchestrators because easier onboarding for developers is leading to more workflow created. And more workflow created is leading to higher demand for GPU compute, and more demand gonna needing more jobs and higher fee generation for orchestrators. So to support this growing demand, we are launching, next slide. To support this growing demand, we are launching two initiatives just next month that will make it easier for developers to create and deploy workflow. So for these two initiatives, one of that is to offer a guided local developer onboarding, including dev container support to help developers set up Comfy UI, Comfy Stream locally seamlessly, and also offer automated job submission tools to streamline deployment to Livepeer. We're also going to offer a hosted experience that allow like workflow creators to instantly try publishing pipeline without super complex setup. And this local hosted experience is optimized for performance, stability, and seamless job execution in production. So basically, those improvements are aiming to significantly increase our AI job traffic, and orchestrators who prepare now are best positioned to capture those upcoming opportunities. So next slide, I want to talk about how you can get involved and the potential benefits. So I encourage every orchestrators to engage with workflow developers. Like we have some interesting Discord channel, right? Like for folks to share the workflow they are building. So I think getting to know, well, the developers are building will really help orchestrators prepare early and aiming to optimize the GPU performance. And also for orchestrators who are interested, to start local start testing traffic with us, it's also a good opportunity to capture those testing traffic before production jobs scale up. And lastly, get ready to scale as developer adoption starts ticking up. The compute demands and revenue potential also gonna come. So to conclude, this is a major opportunity for orchestrators to establish themselves early in the AI-powered video workflow. If you want to get involved, join us in the Orchestrator Discord, and let's build it together. And also looking forward, to hear any feedback from you, so we can actually shape the product roadmap together. Yep, that's all. Thank you. It seems we can't hear you, Rick.
Yeah, well, Rick figures that I can take just ask for feedback. If any folks have any feedback or comments, questions, feel free to drop in chat, or you can request to come up to stage. But yeah, thank you.
Test.
Yep, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I used a different microphone for now. Great. So thank you so much for that overview of the next month. So if I have anybody from the audience has a question, has feedback, you can send it, provide it to us here. And otherwise, of course, we're always available in the Orchestrator channel. You can just ping us with problems that you have or things that you think are really important. Also, feedback about this call. Is there anything that you would like to see improved? More information, more deep dive into things, for example, or less information? Titan has a question. We can get you up to state states, Titan, or otherwise type it. It's up to you. I will invite you up if I know it here.
Welcome, Titan.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, no, I guess my question was probably just more technical around stability of the LLM runner and the ability for it to do asynchronous jobs. So we could probably take this. I just was thinking probably, yeah, it's probably more technical. I need to make an issue of it, but so probably don't need to bring it up now.
It's up to you, but if there's a lot involved, so I think asynchronously request from the AI runner, meaning at the runner side, not the gateway side.
That's right. Yeah. So what's happening is like the gateway basically the orchestrator sends work to the runner, and the runner on my runner, it just if it already has a job, it just rejects the work, and then the orchestrator sends back to the gateway that it has insufficient capacity. But on Frank's orchestrator, the runner just keeps accepting the jobs and will eventually do them. And
how it normally works, how it normally works in a runner container, so that's where your LLM works. There normally it would accept one job, then it would be not concurrent or asynchronously in that sense, because that's not yet implemented. John did look at it and Brad as well. So currently in the runner container, you will have one job, then it gets blocked by the job, and then it returns it back. So if there, of course, are multiple runner containers, the worker should accept multiple jobs, send them to the containers. But in one runner, it should only accept one job. I don't know how it goes with multiple GPUs, but I think it should be the same there.
Okay. Yeah, we just have to figure out how Frank did it then, because Frank has a setup where you can send him, like he has one GPU and you can send him 20 concurrent jobs, and they will all get finished on his orchestrator without sending back insufficient capacity. And so it's really interesting. And he's running Docker Compose, like a custom Docker Compose scripts. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but yeah.
I think Mike just answered the question there. So if you're using external containers, it works a little bit differently. So it will still look at capacity, but you can set the capacity there. But mostly it should be limited as one, as Brad said. So he could have set the capacity higher there, but then again, it's on the timeout. Yeah, so you can set the capacity higher. So if Frank has set the capacity to 10 and there is enough time within the selection there and there's nobody else doing the job, then I think that could happen. So it's a hidden feature, so maybe I shouldn't have told it, but I trust you guys to not mess that up. And also, if you mess that up, the only thing that you will hurt, I think, is the orchestrator yourself, because you will get a low score because you accept jobs that you cannot do. There is an error, and then that will error out. But I think that could cause the difference between the two setups. So the interesting thing there, I think the thing to Investigate is really looking at Frank's setup, try to run it yourself, create an issue of it, and then we can really dive in what would be the optimal behavior there.
Because I'll just give an example. What's happening from the gateway side is if I do a burst of, 10 requests, and you have, say, 2 orchestrators, what's happening is my orchestrator accepts the first request, and then the subsequent request gets rejected as insufficient capacity. And then what the gateway does is it says, "Oh, you get kicked off the active set of orchestrators, and you don't get included back in until an hour later when it does a discovery request, right?" So what'll happen is if every orc can't do the work, then the gateway just sits there with no orc being able to do the work for an hour, with the exception of Frank, because you can send him 20 requests at one time. He'll queue it up, send it all back. So what's happening is Frank is the only stable orchestrator that's able to continually do LLM requests, whereas my orchestrator, after about 5 minutes, will get a double back-to-back request, but we'll reject the second one, and then we'll get kicked out of the gateway list. Same with Peter. Peter has this problem too. So
based on the selection, so I'm still looking at the selection there, but based on the selection, that should not happen, at least not for an hour. So there is a suspense already. You will get suspended, but you will be added back. There was a time where we had an issue where you would get removed fully from the map, but that has been solved months ago. So if you're running anything that's doing LLM, you should not have that issue. So
well,
I think Mike
maybe
Jones,
an hour, but maybe the gateway it does reject the orchestrator for say up to 20 minutes. But the problem is if you only have orchestrators that are running the default setup, which means it rejects the second inference, then it once you run out of orchestrators, it just doesn't do a discovery request to retry and find new orchestrators. It just sends back to the client, can't do this job for about 20 minutes, right? So it just completely errors out the gateway. Like you can't do inference for like 20 minutes.
yeah, so that should not happen how it's coded. So that should be something there is going wrong. Because it should suspend it. It adds currently the number is too low. Brett increased the number, and he fixed some conditions that would ensure that on every request, it would refresh the orchestrator. So then the suspend doesn't work. That was before Brett's fix, but the new fix it has solved that problem, and it also has a higher suspense there. So basically, it takes longer for somebody to get back. But eventually, what the selection should do, similar to transcoding, is that if there's no orchestrator, it goes back to all the orchestrators available, and it goes over the suspense there. So it should not be the case that it's 20 minutes. So then the question also becomes: are you running the new version from Brett, or are you running the main software on your gateway?
I'm running Brad's image he just built for me yesterday, so I'm not sure if
there could be that there's an edge case there that we didn't yet catch it yet, so I'm still testing. So this is really, really helpful. So if you could provide a GitHub issue and go Livepeer and provide all the information, it will be helpful for me before merging in this fix.
Do you, Rick, do you have the latest version I can test out? Like I have Brad's version, but I don't know. Can I try your version?
Yeah, my version is set to release today. So it's under review currently by Josh and Victor. So already everything is in there, but just the release has to be merged. So that will be version 0.8.3. That's the latest stable version that should not have this problem.
Okay. Well,
but then you get the problem of that we had before, where you will where the suspense is not working and it can get stuck on an orchestrator.
Okay, well, I've got to set up to test it. So when 8.3 comes out, then I'll try it on that and then give feedback.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for your question. And
No worries. Yeah, I'm just super eager to get the relationship between the gateway and the orchestrator like really robust for the tutorial release. So yeah, it's doing lots and lots of testing.
yeah, makes sense. So there, and I think the testing is really valuable. You already raised some really critical points there. So the nonce that Brad was been looking for as well. So if we really get this demand, that becomes a problem. But the most important one is this selection algorithm fix. And if there is this edge case in the new selection algorithm, and you found it, that really is beneficial before we merge it in, and we should fix that. So you can already also run the master branch. And as I stated, there's a new flag with this AI runner overrides that you can use to still use like another LLM container if you want. So then only the Go Livepeer side will be the latest version. Okay, if there are no questions, normally I think this is set for 30 minutes. We were really short with the presentations. So also, if you have questions on the format, just let us know in the Orchestrator chat, or any questions on operations. So there are, we are aware of some things that orchestrators want to be get fixed. For example, of course, the biggest one is improving like the configuration there, that you don't have to do all the setup, model downloading, the selection algorithm that we stated there. And others I forgot here. Let me, yeah, a data aggregator that's came to mind. So a lot of people have been asking in the chat about how where you best see the models that are being used that generating the biggest traffic. Currently, that's still the cloud gateway, but of course, Inc also has their data, and Inc is working on a data aggregator to provide the network-wide data for the orchestrators, what will help in your operations already. So there's no set time yet for that release, but we will keep you posted. Okay, and then I think we can call it a day.
Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Of course, this is the monthly Orchestrator Call, so we'll see you next month. And yeah, I think at least on my end, I mean, if there's any comments, thoughts about the structure of the event, let me know. And we'll get the recording up as soon as possible from this. Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice day, evening, morning.